Have you ever noticed a strange ringing in your ear? A sound only you can hear? Most of us brush it off, blaming a loud concert or a stressful day. But sometimes, these subtle signals are your body's way of warning you. We're conditioned to ignore minor symptoms, dizziness, hearing loss, assuming they're just part of life. Yet these whispers can be the first clues to something serious. Today, we'll follow a story that begins with a simple sound and leads to a rare, life-changing diagnosis. It's a journey through the brain's intricate pathways, a lesson in resilience, and a call to listen to your body. It all starts with a persistent hum that one man couldn't ignore. Liam was a musician. His life revolved around sound. From the moment he picked up his first guitar as a teenager, music became his language, his escape, and his greatest joy. He spent countless nights performing under bright stage lights, feeling the pulse of the crowd, and losing himself in melodies that seemed to flow straight from his soul. Every chord, every note, every beat was a part of who he was. But after years of loud gigs, late-night jam sessions, and the constant thrum of amplifiers, something changed. One evening, as he packed up after a show, a high-pitched ringing started in his left ear. At first, he shrugged it off, blaming it on the volume and the adrenaline of the night. He'd heard stories from other musicians. Ringing ears were just part of the job, right? But this time, the ringing didn't fade. It lingered, following him home, echoing in the silence of his apartment. In the quiet moments, late at night, early in the morning, it grew louder, a constant companion that refused to be ignored. Sleep became difficult, and the peace he once found in silence was replaced by a relentless, invisible noise. Soon, Liam noticed other changes. In crowded places, conversations became a blur, voices muffled by the persistent ringing. He found himself turning his head, instinctively using his right ear on the phone, straining to catch every word. Friends had to repeat themselves, and he started to withdraw from noisy gatherings, frustrated by his inability to keep up. Subtle dizziness crept in. Nothing dramatic, just a persistent unsteadiness that made him second-guess his steps. Sometimes he'd pause mid-stride, feeling the world tilt ever so slightly. It was easy to dismiss at first, but the feeling grew, shadowing his daily life. He made excuses, blaming stress from the pressure of recording a new album, the exhaustion of touring, or maybe just getting older. He told himself everyone felt this way sometimes. But deep down, a nagging worry began to take root. The turning point came during a recording session. Liam couldn't hear a tuning issue that everyone else noticed. For the first time, fear set in. Music was his life, and now, his ability to create it felt threatened. He tried to hide his concern, but the doubt was impossible to ignore. The ringing was no longer just a sound, it was a threat to his passion and identity. Every day, he wondered if he'd ever play the same way again, or if the music he loved would slip away, note by note. Realizing he couldn't ignore it any longer, Liam finally picked up the phone and called his doctor. It was a difficult step, but he knew he needed answers. That decision would change everything. It marked the beginning of a journey he never expected to take, a journey that would test his resilience and redefine his relationship with music. Sometimes the smallest symptoms are the loudest warnings. They force us to listen, to pay attention, and to take action before it's too late. Liam was about to find out why, and what it would mean for the rest of his life. When Liam first visited his doctor, he described a range of troubling symptoms. One-sided hearing loss that seemed to creep up on him, a persistent ringing in his ear, and a sense of imbalance that made everyday activities more difficult. His doctor listened carefully, asking detailed questions about when the symptoms started and how they had changed over time. Liam described moments of dizziness that would come and go, sometimes accompanied by a feeling of pressure in his ear. He also noticed that background noises seemed louder, and conversations were harder to follow, especially in crowded places. These symptoms, tinnitus, balance issues, and hearing loss, were starting to interfere with his work and social life. After a thorough examination and some initial hearing tests, the doctor suspected something more than a simple ear infection or age-related hearing loss. The combination of symptoms pointed to a specific condition, an acoustic neuroma. The name might sound frightening, but an acoustic neuroma is actually a benign, slow-growing tumor. It develops on the vestibular nerve, which connects your inner ear to your brain. This nerve is responsible for both hearing and balance, so any growth in this area can have a big impact on daily life. The vestibular nerve is like a communication highway, carrying signals about sound and movement from your ear to your brain. When a tumor forms here, it can disrupt these signals, leading to the symptoms Liam experienced. As the tumor grows, even slowly, it presses on the nerve fibers, making it harder for the brain to interpret sound and balance information. This pressure is what causes the gradual onset of symptoms, often so subtle at first that people ignore them or attribute them to stress or aging. The brain is remarkably adaptable, so early symptoms can be easy to dismiss. Many people, like Liam, may not realize anything is seriously wrong until the tumor has grown larger and symptoms become more pronounced. If left untreated, the tumor can eventually press on nearby nerves, affecting facial movement and sensation. In more advanced cases, it can even cause numbness or weakness on one side of the face. In rare cases, the tumor can grow large enough to cause dangerous pressure inside the skull, leading to headaches, vision changes, or other serious complications that require urgent treatment. That's why early diagnosis is so important. Even though an acoustic neuroma isn't cancerous, catching it early can help prevent long-term damage and make treatment options more effective. For Liam, finally having a name for his symptoms was both terrifying and a relief. He now understood what was happening to his body, but he also faced new questions and fears about what would come next. With a diagnosis in hand, Liam could start asking the right questions and working with his doctors to find the best plan for his future. Liam's diagnostic journey began with a detailed hearing test. His left ear showed significant high-frequency loss, a classic sign. Next came an auditory brainstem response test, revealing delayed signals on the left side. The final step, an MRI with contrast dye. The scan was loud and claustrophobic, but it gave a clear answer. The doctor showed Liam the image, a small bright mass on the nerve from his left ear. The diagnosis was confirmed, acoustic neuroma. Relief mixed with fear. The mystery was solved, but a new challenge began. What should he do next? The answer would shape his future. Sometimes clarity brings even harder questions. Liam was ready to face them. A brain tumor diagnosis, even a benign one, is life-changing. Liam's tumor was small and caught early, so he had options: observation, surgery, or radiation. Observation meant regular MRIs and living with uncertainty. Surgery aimed to remove the tumor, but risked hearing loss and facial nerve damage. Stereotactic radiosurgery used focused radiation to stop growth, often preserving hearing but leaving the tumor in place. Each choice had trade-offs, no easy answers. Liam had to weigh his passion for music, his health, and his peace of mind. The decision was daunting, but it was his to make. Sometimes the hardest part is choosing a path. For Liam, the next step would define his life. The diagnosis shook Liam to his core. Anxiety, sleepless nights, and isolation followed. Social situations became exhausting. He withdrew from friends and music. The pressure of choosing a treatment was overwhelming. Every option felt risky. Encouraged by his partner, Liam joined a support group and started therapy. Connecting with others facing the same journey brought comfort and understanding. Emotional support became as vital as medical care. Liam learned he wasn't alone. Healing, he realized, was about more than just the body. After months of uncertainty and countless conversations with specialists, Liam made the difficult decision to undergo surgery, hoping for a definitive solution to the tumor that had upended his life. The choice was not made lightly. It was a leap of faith, driven by the hope of reclaiming his future. He understood the risks. Removal of the tumor could cost him the hearing in his left ear forever. Still, Liam signed the consent form, accepting the possibility of permanent silence on one side, in exchange for a chance at survival and relief from the relentless ringing. The operation itself was long, intricate, and exhausting for everyone involved. Surgeons worked for hours under the harsh lights, carefully navigating the delicate structures of his inner ear and brain. When Liam finally woke up in the recovery room, the world was strangely quiet. The constant ringing that had haunted him was gone, but so was all hearing on his left side. It was a bittersweet victory. The days that followed were some of the hardest he'd ever faced. Recovery brought waves of vertigo, relentless nausea, and a numbness that made even smiling feel foreign. Simple movements left him dizzy, and the world seemed to spin unpredictably. Physiotherapy began almost immediately. Each session was a test of patience and determination, as therapists guided him through exercises to help his brain relearn balance and adapt to a new way of hearing, or not hearing. Eventually the day came when Liam was discharged. Stepping outside the hospital, he was greeted by a world that sounded and felt unfamiliar. Every footstep, every voice, every note of music was different now. At home, everyday tasks became unexpectedly challenging. He struggled to locate the source of sounds, often turning the wrong way when someone called his name. Conversations in crowded rooms were overwhelming, and music, once his greatest passion, felt distant and incomplete. Yet, despite the obstacles, there was relief. The tumor was gone, and with it, the constant fear that had shadowed his days. Liam knew his journey was far from over, but he was filled with cautious hope. Surgery had changed him in profound ways, but it hadn't defeated him. With the support of loved ones and a fierce determination, he resolved to adapt and move forward. Now Liam faced the challenge of rebuilding his life and his music. He experimented with new ways to play, learning to trust his remaining ear and rediscovering joy in the notes he could still hear. The next chapter would test his resilience, but Liam was ready to meet it head-on, determined to find meaning and music in his new world. Recovery was slow, demanding patience and determination. Liam worked hard in vestibular rehab, retraining his balance. His brain learned to compensate for the loss, and stability returned. Single-sided deafness brought new challenges. He became a skilled lip reader and used special hearing aids. Music was the hardest hurdle. At first, playing guitar felt empty. Band rehearsals were overwhelming. But with support and new technology, he found ways to reconnect with music. He learned to feel vibrations, to trust his instincts, and to adapt creatively. Gradually, Liam rediscovered his passion. His experience changed his perspective and inspired new songs. Loss gave way to resilience and creativity. Liam's journey was far from over, but he was back in harmony with life. Liam's story is a lesson in resilience and in listening to your body. His journey began with a symptom many would ignore. Early attention and self-advocacy made all the difference. Your body's subtle signals matter. Don't dismiss them. Being proactive in your healthcare is essential. Today, Liam is back on stage, navigating life with one-sided hearing and a new appreciation for every sound. His story isn't just about a rare tumor. It's about facing adversity and adapting. Listen to your body's music. Pay attention to the quiet notes. Don't wait for a crescendo of symptoms. Be your own best advocate. Your health is your greatest composition.